Welcome to Get Unstuck with Michele, the podcast where we embark on a transformative journey through the realms of the mind, spirit, and soul. I'm Michele, your shamanic coach, here to guide you through the untamed wilderness of self-discovery and personal growth. Together, we'll unravel the threads that bind us to the past, release the weight that anchors us in the present, and unfurl the wings of potential that carry us toward a vibrant, purposeful future. Join me as we explore ancient wisdom, mystical practices, and powerful insights to awaken the spirit within and break free from stagnation. Let's take that courageous step together and get unstuck. Today, we're talking about living your life without regrets. I recently became aware of a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. It's written by an Australian hospice nurse named Bronnie Ware. Now, this book was published in 2011, so it's not new, but the lessons in it are timeless, so I thought it was worth talking about here. I talk a lot about being ready to die, having a plan in place about how you want to die, and how this is part of dying well and with dignity, but it's only part of the process. Another aspect of dying well and with dignity is not facing a shit ton of regrets when you are laying on your deathbed. As a hospice nurse, Bronnie Ware worked closely with the dying. She cared for patients during the final hours of their lives, and she was able to see a lot of reflection and vulnerability. Now, I am a shamanic death doula in part. That's one of the things I do in my business, and so it's the same for me. I often work with people who are dying, and I experience sitting with people as they transition or are in preparation for it. And you may have also had a similar experience, even if working with the dying isn't your career choice. The older we get, the more likely it is that we experience death directly as someone is facing it. Now, the point here is that many of us have seen people facing death who are regretful of the things that they didn't do in life. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can choose to live now in a way that when our time comes, we have no regrets. But to do that, we have to know what leads to regret. Now, of course, everyone is different, but there are some common themes, and that is what Bronnie Ware's book is about. So let's explore these 5 regrets. The first one is, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Well, if this isn't the number one lesson I teach, then I don't know what is. Authenticity for the win. Your life is just that, your life. You can choose to live another version of yourself based on what other people want, but it will leave you miserable. And when you're dying, you're going to regret it because it isn't authentic to you. If you live your life for you and only you know what that means, then you can face the end of your life without regretting how you lived. The second regret. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Here's the deal. We've all heard the cliche that if you die, they will replace you before you're cold in the grave. And that's true in a lot of instances. And even when it's not exactly true, it's still important to have a healthy work-life balance. Work is just a job. It doesn't matter if it's a first job, a career that you chose, or a business that you own. It's just a means of making money in order to live. But it's not your entire life. Make sure you have other things in life that you can do outside of work. Work alone will never leave you feeling satisfied, and you're definitely not going to be on your deathbed thinking, I fucking slayed at my job. Regret 3. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Now, this goes hand in hand with the first regret, not living an authentic life. Communication is critical. If you don't express yourself with others, then you aren't being authentic. And a lot of times we bottle up our feelings because we don't want to cause somebody pain, or we think that it's not appropriate to tell somebody how we feel. But letting other people know how we feel is important. And I'm not talking about every single person you meet in life, because it's not always appropriate or important to tell every single person how you feel. A lot of times it's better not to. But for the people who matter to you, the people who are important in your life, you need to be honest with them about your feelings. And that goes for the good feelings, the bad feelings, the ugly feelings, all the feelings. You need to be honest about how you feel, at least with the important people in your life. The fourth regret. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. So let's see. If you aren't staying in touch with your friends, what are you doing? Working? We already talked about that. Spending time with yourself and your family? Nothing wrong with that. But if someone is a friend, you need to keep in touch with them too. And we all know that every friendship doesn't last forever. Some only last for a specific time. But if someone is your friend and the friendship didn't end so much as it just withered from neglect, that's pretty sad. Yes, life is busy. Yours, mine, theirs. But we make time for the things, the people that are important to us. Will you be on your deathbed happy that you didn't reach out? Probably not. So reach out. And the fifth regret. I wish that I had let myself be happier. Now this one kind of sums up all the other four, at least in my mind. We choose to be happy, or we choose to not be happy. Yes, there are things that can make that choice easier, but ultimately our happiness is our choice. If we choose to live authentically, if we choose to spend time with our family instead of always working, if we choose to speak openly about our feelings, and if we choose to prioritize friendships, then we're probably pretty happy people. And if we choose not to do those things, we're probably not pretty happy people. But either way, it's a choice that we made. Are there going to be times of sadness, even if we do all these things? Of course. But overall, what's not to be happy about if you prioritize those other things? Nothing. Yes, there will be fears and there will be worries, but when you have a balanced life, then that takes precedence over fear, worry, and external circumstances. So let yourself be happy. There's no reason not to. So what does all of this mean? I've been talking here for a few minutes about blah blah, you can choose to do this, you can choose to do that, but what does it mean? Now these regrets can be a map for living a balanced and happy life. If we look at them and we take them and we turn the regrets into the opposite and we live like that, the opposite, then we have a more meaningful life. And then when we reach the end of our life, as we all will, we can know that we lived a full and happy life, a life that we chose. And that leads to no regrets. But you have to choose for yourself. I gave ideas and examples, but that's all they are, ideas and examples based on what came to my mind from my life. But only you can determine how to best live a life that will leave you with no regrets. Your circumstances are unique to you, and I can't tell you how to live. Because remember, it's all about authenticity. Choose what matters to you in your life and prioritize that. Sure, you have to work. Sure, there are pressures in life. But don't let those things take center stage. So coming back to Bronnie Ware's book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, it's not just a book. It is a book, but it's so much more. Maybe get a copy at the library or wherever you like to get books. If you want to buy it, buy it. If you don't, whatever. I like to get books from the library because in my day job, I'm a librarian, so plug for your public library. But get a copy of the book and read it. There's so much more in it than I can cover here in this little discussion. So take a little bit of time and check it out and see what you think. Love this podcast? How about giving me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app? If you want more content from me, subscribe to my newsletter over at livingmoonmeditation.com. And if you'd like to help me keep the lights on, I appreciate your donations. I have the links for that in the show notes.